Hey everybody, just wanted to make this video because over the past few months, and including still covering some stuff from my vacation trip, that was all the way back in July, I've amassed a huge collection of movies, and a lot of them are exploitation films and really interesting stuff that I thought I would just share. I'm not quite why I've really been buying a lot of movies lately. I've kind of like getting back. I wouldn't really call myself like a film person or someone who's like really into films. I like very certain specific genres and stuff. I'm really into Gallows. I'm really into exploitation films. The non-exploitation, Nazi exploitation, all that crazy stuff. I don't know, stuff like John Waters and all that. I think too, it just really inspires like creativity in me, seeing these people make such transgressive work. A lot of these people are doing a lot of this transgressive stuff or interesting films to kind of make a statement in like a different sort of way because art is not in a vacuum and you can do whatever you want and make whatever statement you want, whether it's good or bad or people agree and all that or if it's even your place to say it is kind of a different story. But basically I got a bunch of weird films and I'm going to show them to you. Yeah, what we're listening to is, I think I showed this in my Dark Entries unboxing video, but I've come to really love this, I think a duo, which I didn't know much about, but now I've like really into their stuff. The first time I put this record on, I was blown away. This is Transonic's New Crime, and I love that cover. I love the whole blocks your path thing going on. And sunglasses, I mean, anyone... Yeah, I think there's an insert with them. Yeah. Anyone looking like that is gonna be cool. Just so you know, any artists wearing sunglasses, especially in the 80s, probably is dropping some hot synth sounds. They're cool, they're the cool kids. But yeah, like I said, lots of stuff, interesting stuff. Not everything here is technically like exploitation film, but interesting nonetheless. So yeah, let's get started. This one is In the Realm of the Senses, which is considered a pretty controversial film. This is the same director who made the movie Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, which is very interesting, which is also a fantastic movie. It also stars David Bowie, so if you care about that, check it out. This movie is fully Japanese movie. This one came out in 1976. And yeah, this one basically depicts the relationship between, master and servant and just really insane sexual situations that begin to escalate and get worse. But again, I wouldn't say this is a movie about sex. In the same way I don't think Solo is a movie about sex. I think it's more about what it's trying to convey in perversity and how things escalate and like I think it really just kind of shows the relationship between someone with power and how they use it to abuse someone lower than them. Yeah, it's a fantastic film. If you can handle stuff like eggs being put into genitalia regions and asphyxiation like on the cover and stuff like that, check it out. It's really beautifully filmed. But yeah, got that. This one's a personal favorite, and I feel a little bit basic because one of my favorite novels of all time is Lord of the Flies. And, some people are like, oh, that you had to read that in school. But I think it's an absolutely perfect storyline. I've always loved the story of Lord of the Flies. In fact, like, survival, post-apocalyptic stories. Not that this is post-apocalyptic, but it is survival. The decay of like humanity after really bad stuff occurs is like always one of my favorite storylines, and no storyline does it better than Lord of the Flies. If you like don't know the story or if you haven't read it, please do. And this is like one of the most faithful, good adaptations of a film to a book that there is. This is the black and white one that came out in 1963, and it's just really good. Basically, the story is a bunch of English children are trying to escape wartime, but they end up... God, I can't think... It's my favorite story. I can't remember if it was a plane or a boat that crashes on a deserted island, and there's no adults, it's just the children. And basically, they try to like, one group of children of the boys try to like have like an order, and then the other group tries to be a bit chaotic and then become hunters, and you can kind of see the commentaries going, but it's not like ham-fisted or anything. It's just really crazy. But yeah, you know, kids do die in this adaptation. Is just really beautiful, beautiful black and white film. Awesome, awesome. Those are, I found some really cheap Criterion lately. I just bought those the other night. This one too, recently. This is a French film. This is Elevator to the Gallows. This one kind of is, this one is 58, I think. It might say in the back. Criterion likes to say it on the back. 57. Yeah, this is kind of like the Postman Always Rings Twice kind of ordeal, where, you know, woman falls for a guy, they try to kill the husband, but noir stuff ensues, crazy stuff happens. Really beautiful film. Definitely check it out for yourself. Just really good. Yeah, more controversial films. I found this wicked cheap. I haven't really seen this DVD around. This is Irreversible. This is the movie that Memento is based on, but this one's better, trust me. Not that Memento is terrible, but Irreversible is good. I will say right away, especially if you don't know what this movie is about, there is a very harsh assault scene, sexual assault scene, so more than most films. It's pretty graphic here, and it's not really for the sake of being graphic. It's definitely, this whole movie is to show, like, horrible things that can happen and how it affects people and brings them to a breaking point. But yeah, so there's that. But this is a fantastic film. And like, you know, I don't want to say the gimmick, but the whole thing is the whole movie's done kind of like backwards, the whole storyline. But it's really good. Definitely one you gotta see. Yeah, Gasper, No, Irreversible. When did that one come out? I don't even remember. This is not that old. This is like probably early 2000s. Or I might be wrong. It's Lionsgate, so there's that. Damn, it doesn't actually say what year it is. Well, it won Film Festival 2002, so I'm close. Alright, these two next movies I bought on vacation. I took someone to Newbury Comics the first time because obviously they don't have those in the Midwest. It's a New England chain, and I wanted them to experience it. I posted a video on my Twitter, and they found a bunch of Aphex Twin singles, and they bought them all. It was pretty crazy. We found some good stuff. It was a very good Newbury Comics. But, like I said, I picked up two films there. The first one is Asian Extreme Merbito. This one's good. I've only seen this one once in a while ago, and I remember the way the movie played out, I wasn't like extremely impressed. The beginning is really good. There's a lot of surreal, dreamlike moments. There's like a cameraman who's obsessed with death, so he like kind of stalks people in weird situations in like the subway. And then one of these days he just walks into like this weird subterranean area that's very dreamlike, and he finds this mute girl and takes her home. There's not like too much dialogue besides some inner dialogue going on, but I remember being good, and I remember the ending was just kind of a little bit lackluster, but it's been a while since I watched it. I feel like the ideas have kind of grown on me, so I definitely want to rewatch it again. I feel like my opinion will change. So let's show that. I liked the image on the inside a lot. There's the girl. You can guess what's in there. I don't want to like really spoil what kind of goes on in this film, but definitely check it out for yourself. I think you'll like it. So it should be like Japanese horror. And yeah, it is from the director of The Grudge, which I only found out recently, even though it says it right on the cover. I don't know how I just like glanced over that. It's good. And if you somehow have never seen the original Japanese Grudges, they're very good. They're I think Ju-on 2 is my favorite. Just like the whole scenario, the creepiness vibe. I don't ever get scared by movies, but there's definitely some very jarring creepiness in Ju-on. Yeah, so check those out. This one, I didn't know they made into a film. I actually had just finished reading the manga for it. Like I said, I don't really read too much manga, but if it has to be a very specific storyline or a specific artist I like, and this one's, I was saying post-apocalyptic, and this is Dragonhead, which I didn't know they made into a movie. and people seem to say it's pretty decent. So basically, if you haven't read this manga, I suggest it. It was very excellent, especially for like realistic people trying to survive post-apocalyptic stuff. It starts with basically a subway crash where a bunch of students are in, and there's only 3 survivors, 2 boys and a girl. Then they realize they're caved in, they're tunneled in, so they're just stuck in this like cave with like they're underground and the subway crashed. You know, and eventually they do escape. It's very wild what happens even down there in the cave, and then they find out what's happened, or I shouldn't say that. They find out that some bad stuff has happened and everything's destroyed, but what exactly happens and how the people react is pretty surreal. And not a lot of stuff isn't answered, but it's not like to the point where it's like bad because they didn't answer it, but it's really insane. The manga gets like, I don't know, there's moments where it's just overwhelmingly scary. There's like parts where they're just in this little tiny helicopter, they're literally flying into a void, and there's just really crazy stuff. I definitely suggest the Dragon Head. I'm excited to see this. It should be okay. I mean, I like the Uzumaki live action, which obviously doesn't do the manga justice at all, but I think it's a nice little dreamlike surreal movie on its own. Apparently, too, I just finished reading The Drifting Classroom as well, and that's another one you should check out. And I guess it has a couple of renditions live action, and one of them is by the guy who directed House, so that will be interesting to see. I can't seem to find it, though. It definitely seems to be a bit rare. But yeah, check that out. The Drifting Classroom is good, too, about children getting transported by an explosion, their whole school into like this apocalypse world that's all desert. They're trying to survive, and it's crazy. If you don't like seeing manga children get like eaten by monsters and bad stuff, though, I would suggest it. There's even points where just like, all right, there's just kind of a lot of death going on. But yeah, check that out. All right, so these next 5 films. I don't know. Some people might take it the wrong way, whatever. I think it's just silly. I enjoy these films. So these are part of the genre called Nazi exploitation films. Stuff like this. And I always like certain exploitation films or like really silly genres like this. Probably like the reason I like industrial so much is it kind of just takes the piss out of stuff. I'm definitely someone like that too, where if there's something like really evil or terrible, like just like, you know, Nazism and stuff like that, it's kind of interesting to like break it down and realize that these are just really shitty humans and like really silly stuff going on. So it's interesting to look at it through the scope and kind of helps you cope a bit. I feel like I describe the genre as like, you know how you watch Hogans Heroes, which is, you know, a fantastic show. I used to love watching Hogans Heroes. Genuinely funny and great. It's like Hogans Heroes, but with a lot more, like, edgier violence and sex. But, like, the same way you watch that show to, like, you know, make fun of Nazis and stuff and see just how, like, really silly all that stuff is. You watch these films. Plus, I mean, watching really weird, surreal, silly sexual films from like the 70s and stuff is always kind of interesting. In a treat. I don't know. Sometimes they're just so absurd too and crazy. You're just like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, it's great. Like, they're definitely movies you put on to like, you know, hang out with friends and drink, and you're like, what is going on? You're like, oh my god, they're really doing that. Stuff like that. So I got a bunch of these. There's so many of these, but I'll probably do a more in-depth video on these just to like talk about them and see like which ones are worth your time. I like these way, like Gallows is just like, I like a lot of the imagery and colors, and I'm just addicted to like films, and I'm also addicted to edgy stuff, so there you go. First one is SS Girls. Their weapon was desire, for which there was no defense. I think this is the one where, because I think I vaguely remember the description of some of these. Some of these I haven't seen. This is the one where they think they're spies or traitors, like, in the SS, so they, like, train girls to be, like, you know, sex workers to try to infiltrate them and get secrets, but there's, like, twists and turns and in the Nazi world, so it's crazy. This one I don't know. This is Fraulein's in uniform, but look at that ridiculous cover. It's great. You know, And I do love some Nazi movies. Look at some of these film shots. It's great. They're so silly, ridiculous. It's awesome. Obviously, one of the best ones, if you want an introduction to the genre, laugh out loud, just stuff. Watch Ilsa She-Wolf of the SS and all those movies. I don't want to say they're great, but they're pretty great. This is probably the most famous one. This is SS Experiment. Yeah, basically they do experiments on a woman's, and there's really crazy exploitation film results. What I really want, that I think Vinegar Syndrome put it out, or Severin Films, is The Beast in Heat, which is like the Nazis create some weird super beast monster that like attacks women and people. I don't know, it's insanity. Is SS Camp, Woman's Hell. I don't know this one, but you know, it probably involves woman in prison. These all kind of stem from one of the first exploitation film genres, which is like woman in prison, which is pretty silly and funny too, and you're just like, wow. And then I got this one separate from these, but I found the same place. They were hiding it from me. They knew I was coming. Here's Hitler's Last Train. Look at that. The incredible journey of a trainload of lovely young girls drafted by Hitler for the pleasure of the SS. Oh man. I'm ready to watch that trash. Alright. Something, little palate cleanser from the Nazi exploitation. Here is an Ingmar Bergman film. A director that needs no introduction. Fantastic director. I don't like everything he does because, I don't know, sometimes it's a little too much for me, or it's just not my thing, but some of his stuff is fantastic. And this is The Virgin Spring, which is one of my favorite films by him. And that's not to say any of his films are bad. None of them are. Some of them just aren't for me, but they're always beautifully made and crafted so well. What an amazing director. This is based off the old Swedish tale, I believe. 1960, and this is basically where kind of all stories of like the rape and revenge film, which is also a genre of itself, comes from. This is the story of, you know, religion and revenge, and how parents deal with the fact that their daughter got attacked and murdered, and now that the attackers are with them. So this is where basically it's a way better version of The Last House on the Left. This is where it all comes from. I Spit in Your Grave is this story. So yeah, definitely check that out. The Virgin Spring. Let's see. The record ended, but we're almost done, so I'm not gonna switch it over. I just picked this one recently too. This is I think this is a Jesus Franco film. No, sorry, this is a Joe D'Amato film. My bad. I sometimes get those confused. Oh, that's because the next film is a Jesus Franco film. Yeah, Emmanuel and Francois. Just classic Italian D'Amato sleaze fest. This one's basically this woman's with a really sleazy guy, and because of him like cheating on her and stuff, she unfortunately takes her life. And then her sister finds out, and she basically tries to get revenge on the guy, and she like locks him up in her house and like forces him to like watch her sleep with a bunch of people, and like it's really weird. And he's like starving and you know, doesn't have any water, so he starts hallucinating really weird stuff, and he like starts hallucinating that she's like eating people and really crazy things. Yeah, it's it's crazy. They don't look like this in the cover. This cover is kind of irrelevant to the characters, but yeah, this is exploitation film. This is on Severin Films, and it's, if you like really trashy Italian movies like Gallows and all. It isn't a Giallo, but it's Italian sleaze. Definitely check this one out. It's great. This one I was looking for a while. So this is a Jesus Franco film. This is The Erotic Rites of Frankenstein. And I believe it's like an interesting take on Frankenstein, and it also involves like animal-human hybrids and crazy stuff like that. I wanted to watch this for a while, but I have not, and now I have it, and I am excited. So, yeah, let's see. After the death of Victor Frankenstein, Dennis Price, two figures vie for control of this metallic-skinned monster and the radical technology that created him. Well, that's all I need to hear. And it's in the 70s and on film, and it's, by Franco, so I gotta see it. I mean, look at that cover. That's so good. And of course, last, I'm sure everyone watching this channel probably seen this one, but I didn't own it on DVD, and now I do. This is John Waters' Pink Flamingos, absolute classic. Doesn't get more trashier in the best way possible. Doesn't get more trashier from, you know, the Pope of Puke himself, John Waters, and Divine. This is their classic Pink Flamingos, which surprisingly isn't my favorite John Waters film. Not that that's not to discredit this movie. Oh, I love this movie. This movie is great. I think my favorite John Waters film is probably Desperate Living, to be honest. It's just such a great, weird, kind of almost fairy tale, you know. Plus, you know, it's a fairy tale. It involves, like, a whole town of lesbian women getting their redemption. It's pretty fantastic. But yeah, so that's all the films I got. Not all at once. Been collecting a bit. So yeah, there's that. I might go in depth in more exploitation film genres, like the Nazi exploitation. Nunsploitation is really good. That one's fun. I definitely have a thing for, like, corrupt priests and religious people. Yeah, that's definitely a really good genre. I finally showed a few people Wise Blood. They hadn't seen that one. That's a fantastic movie. Not exploitation, but it's really good. You know, corrupt religious people movie. Alright, I'm rambling enough about movies. This video is long enough. But yeah, thank you for watching. And, you know, I hope you check some of these films out. I got some recommendations. And yeah, I'll see you next film. Not film. I got a few videos coming up. So that should be interesting. So I hope you enjoy that.